But thank you for coming together again today. I feel like I'm speaking really loudly, so maybe I should tone it down a bit. I do want to thank everybody for coming. This is a really busy time for the university. I know we're always busy, but this is an especially fun time of year for us as we're starting to head for early May and commencement. And commencement is always a big celebration for us because it's the culmination of our work with educating students and watching those who migrated from their very first day here all the way across that stage and watching us launch them into their career, and it's an amazing time for us. I hope all of you are able to join us at commencement this year. For faculty, I hope you're raised your hand and that you're getting your regalia and you're going to join us for commencement. I'm really pleased to say that Don Malone, who's one of our graduates from the class of 1984, is going to be our commencement speaker. And we will, of course, be giving out 2 honorary doctorate degrees this year to recognize key members of our community who've been aligned with the mission of the university, either supporting what we do directly or indirectly, nationally supporting what we do through the work that they're conducting on a daily basis. So it's going to be an amazing commencement for us this year. We're really excited about it. The highest number of graduates ever from the College of Graduate Studies. It's growing exponentially and it's continuing to do so, so it's a wonderful celebration for us. I do want to recognize 2 of our faculty, Dr. Fredrickson and Dr. Behringer, who've received grants since the last time that we've met together. I think it's important to celebrate the accomplishments of our faculty, especially their ability to compete for external research funding, which is really a difficult task to do. It's important for funding their work, but at the same time, it's a validation from their peer group that the work they're doing is important, and their capability to do the work is seen as excellent. So congratulations to both of them. And this is at a time where research grants, time of year where research grants are not that plentiful. We tend to go in cycles. And so this March timeframe is one where we expect to see a lot of grants going through. I've got a little cheat sheet with me today so I don't forget some topics. I once again want to recognize that we do have a College of Medicine Dean. I know I've announced this before, but I want to make sure everybody's aware. Dr. Mark Basson is an MD, PhD, MBA. He's currently at the University of North Dakota, and he will be joining us somewhere between mid-June and July 1st. He's already been on the phone interacting with our teams, and we're really looking forward to him coming out here. He will be an active researcher with part of his time and will have a laboratory at RGE. He's also going to maintain a small clinical presence as a surgeon at one of our partner hospitals. So we're looking forward to have him joining us. We have our provost starting on April 1st. Now that's a Saturday. So I hope all of you have the opportunity during that following week to meet with him. We are setting up a number of meet and greets. We're hoping to get him in front of the University Faculty Council. Dr. Kasmer is going to be walking him around to all the areas of the university, and we'll also be having some refreshments right outside of Watanakunakorn. So look onto your calendars when he's coming out. We're hoping to get a good showing of faculty, staff, and students. The provost's job is to be the Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, but also it's to be the advocates for our faculty and for our students. And that's going to be a big focus item for Dr. Faison when he joins us. I know I've announced it before, but just to reemphasize, we are filling our leadership team out with permanent members, and Dr. Julie Altman is now the official dean of the College of Graduate Studies, so congratulations, Dr. Altman. And many of you may be aware, we're not playing it up big, we're hoping he changes his mind, but it was announced at the board meeting that Dr. Kasmer is planning to retire as of September of this year. Now, he's got a lot of leave saved up because he likes to be at work all the time, so we'll likely see his last day somewhere around July 1st. He will be available, and we're hoping to keep him engaged at the university. He's been an incredible partner and asset for all of us. We couldn't have done HLC the way we did without him, And he did this, as I've said before, with 2 full-time jobs. And we can't really replace him, but we're going to work hard to try and get somebody to come in and help fill his shoes. And it's going to take 2 people to do what he was able to do by himself. So we'll have a celebration for you later. You still have several months for us to beat you up. But thank you for everything that you do for us. Many of you may be aware that Michelle Mulhern, who's been at the university for 17 years, decided to take another opportunity for growth. And she is now, as of today, in fact, doing so. And so her replacement is Janet Kuhn. And Janet is now going to be the Secretary of the Board of Trustees and Special Assistant to the President to help with projects and management within the President's office. So welcome, Janet. And for those of you who interact with the President's office, you'll know that Nancy, who was with us for a little over a year and was absolutely amazing, did take a new opportunity. She went from her position here to be Director of Operations, essentially at a bigger facility for her, and that's going to be close to home in Youngstown. So, it was with a heavy heart that we lost her, but we're fortunate to have Tricia joining us today. Tricia, will you put your hand up and just wave? So Tricia, welcome to the first day. We're excited to have you here with us also, and hope to have you here for a long time with the university. We did really well in the College of Pharmacy match, which took place with a little less fanfare than we see with the College of Medicine. But their match rate is done in stages, and they were over 80%, and they were the only college of pharmacy in the state of Ohio to be able to hit that metric. Unlike medicine, it's not a requirement that their students do a residency, but it is an opportunity for them to build their expertise, knowledge, and to launch their career at a higher level. And I understand 90% of those who wanted to do a second-year residency also matched. They're continuing to go through the process, and those numbers will go up. Big congratulations to the College of Pharmacy and the team of individuals who really helped those students transition through. College of Medicine has a match rate that we're saying is 100%. 3 students decided instead of matching, they wanted to go off and do a research year. But the others, besides those 3, have all matched. And that's an amazing match rate. If you look at colleges of medicine across the country, their match rates are somewhere around 90 to 91%. So that is a great metric, and what it says is the residencies are valuing our students. And the match was unbelievable this year. We had matches at Harvard, Yale, Johns Hopkins, Vanderbilt, University of Southern California, University Hospitals, Cleveland Clinic, and then of course our partners, Summa Healthcare and Akron Children's Hospital, and Altman actually is receiving one of our students who's going to be doing an OBGYN residency. 10%, roughly 10% of our class matched at University Hospitals, a little bit more at Summa, and roughly that amount also at Akron General Cleveland Clinic. So really a great match, and we're thrilled to see these students move forward as they'll now go to commencement next. And then they're going to go off and become alumni of the university. So we'll be having the alumni banquet this year, and we're inviting all of those students to come as guests of the university at no cost as we bring them into the fold of the alumni family here at the university. All of you know that Giving Day just took place, and I know the numbers are continuing to change, but the last update I received was that Giving Day resulted in about $135,000 from 291 donors. The advancement team is doing great work, especially this year. We broke a record already, and we're continuing to watch that record climb. This is the first year in our history that we've been certainly over $5 million, and we're actually over $12 million so far, and we're potentially on a trajectory. I don't want to make you nervous, Doreen, but maybe 18 or $20 million if things work out. And we're working hard to try and bring dollars in to support you and to support our students and to grow new programming. We're also working with the state legislature, and we're putting in requests with the federal government for funding. Those are tough dollars to get at the federal government level. We got $2 million last year, or actually this year, came through already for the College of Dentistry to build out a dental clinic to serve the community. And we put in another request for just a little over $2 million this year. It's a really important time in the State House. I've mentioned this before, but I do want to emphasize what's happening at the state legislature and the 135th Assembly is really important to the university. We have two companion bills taking place, one in the House and one in the Senate. Senate Bill 60 and House Bill, I want to say 97. House Bill 97. We have a champion in both sides who are looking to create a certified mental health assistant. And Neomed would be the first in the country to do this. We came up with the idea, we've asked for funding, we've already received some funding. This is a big pull. This is like taking our CAA program and making one specifically to address the mental health workforce needs of Ohio. This is a huge problem nationally, but it's also a huge problem in Ohio. There's not enough psychiatrists, there are not enough counselors, there's a big gap between treatment capabilities of those who are available to help those with substance abuse and mental health issues. So Neomed was asked to solve the problem. We gave them a proposal, they're embracing it. We have two bills in place, and then there's also a legislative ask that's going in to support us to be able to do it financially. So we're watching very closely as that takes place. And then, of course, I think many of you know that we're also very carefully watching Senate Bill 83, which is having first testimony on Wednesday. And that Senate bill is going to have pretty dramatic impact at all of the universities in the state, certainly dramatic impact at all the public universities in the state. A little less to Neomed than some of the others because we don't have undergraduate programs. But I know some of the language in there made people nervous. And they've been contacting the office, they've been contacting marketing and communication saying, what do we do? Some of it just wasn't well thought out. If you read it carefully, it would almost imply that we couldn't have separate male and female bathrooms at a university because it says you will not create policies or specifically fund areas that allow for segregation of individuals on the campus based on race, gender identity, culture, on and on. And so there are some things in there that I think are going to get changed pretty dramatically. We're watching, we're working with the Inter-University Council on what to do with it. They're really quite savvy. Our IUC president is the former chairman of higher education last year for the House. So Laura Lanise is really good at being able to steer us in the right direction. But we are watching it carefully. I know that the faculty are watching this and having meetings during proponent testimony that will take place at the State House. There will be bodies coming in to help to change and to shape the bill. One of the most probably contested elements, I expect, is going to be an anti-strike clause. Now, we're not unionized, so we're not really affected by this. But it would essentially ban striking at any university on behalf of faculty and staff. The reason for that is they note that they believe when a student pays their tuition that a contract has been created and it would be a violation of that contract. And the teeth in it are that if they were to strike, somebody did a strike anyway, they could go to court just as you would with an air traffic controller or potentially, in our case, the jails, the officers who manage the jails in the state of Ohio, that like them, you could immediately go get it undone and they would have to go back to work. We expect that's probably going to be the most highly contested component of this. Again, not a big impact on Neomed. It really disempowers unions at any of the universities that have them. But those are some of the key elements. And at the end of this, if anybody wants to talk about this a little bit more, because we know there have been some concerns, I'm happy to do so. And if we need to, we'll bring up our resident expert, Mary Taylor, who knows the legislative process very, very well. John Sciliano is at the AAMC today. He's planning on publishing some documents and polls explaining how our legislative process works so that people can follow it, and if you choose to engage in it. The other part that's really important for us this year is the state budget bill. We get about 25%, 30% of our funding from the state in the form of what they call SSI, or State Share of Instruction. And then there are two other elements that we get, which are two separate components of a clinical teaching line and a clinical subsidy around things like family medicine, primary care, geriatrics, and something called AHEC, which are all designed to try and encourage the training of future physicians in the area of primary care, to educate them on geriatrics, and to try, through AHEC, try to get them to stay and serve in rural regions of the country. The governor's budget is the best we've ever seen. It'll be the first time in history that it tops $3 billion per year. The expectation is it won't stay. It's right now, it is with the House. And in the House, I'm not sure what's going to happen. The House is in a little bit of disarray. I don't think they're too anti-higher education, but there's always components of it that are. They will scrutinize the bill. They may cut things. They claim they may add things. I don't know. We'll see if that happens. But we don't expect the bill to stay intact as it was as introduced by the governor. From there, it's going to go to the Senate, and that's where we're concerned. The Senate bill, 83, is going to be up at the same time the budget is for funding. So we could find ourselves in a position where if universities are too vocal in not being partners with the Senate on a bill, or maybe just because it's what they think is the appropriate thing to do as they're trying to cut taxes, that there's going to be a decrement in state funding. We're working hard and advocating for this to prevent it. I'm going out with the other university presidents again. We did it this month. We're doing it again next month to meet at the State House, and we'll be meeting with the Senate President specifically on these two topics. So we're watching very closely what's taking place with the biennial budget. It's very important to us, and we're going to keep you up to date if there are any dramatic changes to it. For those of you who aren't watching on a day-to-day basis, that's why we pay John Stiliana. He is our government relations person. Now, fortunately, the House has also put in funding for NeilMed. We've got an introduction that we're hoping to keep whole and keep in place, which is additional funding for the dental school to build it out, and the funding for the Certified Mental Health Assistant program. So there could be some really good things coming our way, but this is kind of like playing to the lottery, but better odds as we watch closely and we try and influence it. With the lottery, we don't get to go pick the ball that comes out, but here we can try and limit the number of balls they can choose from, so that hopefully we'll get the funding that we're looking for so we can continue to support and build the university. We've also are pretty far along in understanding what we're going to do with the gross anatomy lab. I know since I've been here, this has been a hot button topic of what we do to fix the lab up, to bring it within standards for its ductal system, and at the same time to give it a little bit of a facelift. I think we're pretty far along with that. We've got state funding that we're going to be spending on that pretty soon here. You'll notice that the south corridor is just about done. We're waiting for a couple of pieces of furniture, and we'll have a visit tomorrow in the south corridor at the Patante Atrium with Dr. Patante, who gave the $10 million gift to the dental college. So if you are down there tomorrow, please thank them. Take a moment to reach out, introduce yourself, and thank them. We're really appreciative. That's the biggest gift this university's ever received from a single donor, and it's really going to allow us to do some amazing things. Speaking of the College of Dentistry, I told you last time we had an update that they worked and at record time submitted their accreditation documents to CODA, which is their equivalent to LCME, for those of you who know the accreditation bodies. We already heard back from them that our submission is complete, and they are now in the process of moving this along. It can take a while, but we're hoping to be able to get our first site visit set up for a future, so that before Dr. Kazmer's gone, he can help do his magic like he did at HLC. And those are the main topics that I wanted to talk with you about, except for the surveys. I want to thank those of you who filled the surveys out. There will be another one coming. We're going to share all the information. There's just so much information to go through. We're trying to figure out best ways to present it. The easy pieces, we're looking at the simple Likert scales, or the yes-no answers. but it was all the input that we received in verbal language or written language that was difficult to go through. And I think I touched on this before, but what you told us as a whole was that the university needs to work on its national brand, that our state brand is pretty good, but we can make it better, that the name Northeast Ohio Medical University was a pretty good name, and that in general we should try and leave it alone. This was a request of our students to study this issue. And we also heard from you that we should stay focused on health and sciences. When you suggested additions to the university besides what we're doing now, the most popular elements were the business of healthcare, as well as sociology, counseling, and then nursing. So those were ones we kind of expected to be able to see, although the number of people who really were interested in doing a healthcare-focused MBA was incredibly high. I was surprised by that. We also heard from you that the things you want on this campus are better variety, better quality, and better hours of operation for food. That was especially pronounced for our students. And you would like to have exercise opportunities so that we can all stay fit, but mostly outdoors in the form of courts, basketball courts, volleyball courts, tennis courts. I think pickleball courts were thrown out there, as well as a tree-lined walking path. And Mary's team we've already got a blueprint that we're looking at and looking to see whether we can get this funded and get this moving along to make this campus more welcoming for people who want to stay longer hours as we look to grow into the future. That's what I have for you today, so I'm happy to open it up for questions. No questions? Clayton, ask me a question. None for you. Yes?
I might as well ask this. Anything about moving the bookstore so it's in a more of a open location to help with branding?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I didn't mention two other items the students really talked about. One was study space. We had a ton of study space, but it's all individual study space and it's not utilized. They're asking us to move to more small group rooms because they feel like they fill up. The other one was, by the way, the bookstore got rave reviews for Christine. In fact, referring to her as the mother of the students on this campus. Very well loved. Roughly a 7 out of 10 ranking for what's there and available, and many suggestions that we move this into more of a mini student union. We're not obviously Ohio State was a massive student union, but something smaller that might have storefronts for things the students use the most, like financial aid or counseling and services, not mental health counseling services, but academic counseling services, as well as a place where we expand the quality and the ability to meet the students' needs for things like food, packaged food, drinks, and then to really lay out the clothing items in such a way that they're not crammed in such a small space. So we're working on that too. Actually, Mary and I have been chatting about that. We think it's a good idea. One of the things we might do then is to take the current Nook space and turn that into the student lounge, because the student lounge also goes unused. I don't even know how many of you know we have a student lounge, but it's back by the fireplace as you head to the loading dock, and it's almost always empty, and it's nowhere near the school corridor for education. So we think we can make some changes to make the Nook better, and then to make the accommodation for the students better, so they have a place that they can use and kind of call their own. John?
Any idea when the dental chairs will be available for free clinic patients?
Dr. Beck, question was, any idea when dental chairs will be available for free clinic patients from SOAR, student-run free clinic, to come over and have an oral examination?
Hopefully January of 2026.
January of 2026. We have to undergo construction, and there's a lot of work, as you know, in starting the clinic up, but it will be there.
Thank you.
Since John brought the point up, it reminds me, the survey from the students showed that about 30% of our students are currently using Neomed Healthcare Clinic. And they received the highest rating of any group that we asked them their opinion on. It was about, if I recall right, 9.4 out of 10. And they were all 10, 9, and 8 answers. They're very pleased with the quality of care, with the physicians who are there, with the nursing staff. And so I'm very pleased with what you've done. Thank you. It is open for anybody on the campus. You do not have a copay if you have our Summa Healthcare insurance. So if you wish to, I encourage you to use it. I've started using it myself. In fact, I'm using John as my primary care doc. But right now you have 3 to choose from if you wish to. Yes, Amy.
I was wondering if you'd allow us to tell everybody about our March 31st event, about National Public Health Week, and our speaker who's coming, the community, and the event.
You want to come up and take the mic? I will exit. Get this vehicle.
Yay! I think you can hear me. So the public health program is having a kickoff to National Public Health Week. March 31st, we have a very special speaker coming. His name is Joe Sepisi, and he's a decorated Vietnam helicopter pilot. And he was shot down, had multiple back surgeries, and had to be fitted with braces, and had severe PTSD. And he's going to be talking about this story as well as how he has dealt with his PTSD with the help of ballroom dance. And so we're setting up a little ballroom dance floor here. He's going to have his orthotist who fit him with his braces come and talk as well. And it's also in partnership with Youngstown Bluecoats, who is going to bring their big blue bus, and it's going to be parked out in the front parking lot. They're accepting donations for like blankets, coats, socks, mittens, gloves, to give to homeless veterans. They literally go out into the woods and they look for these veterans and they give them these blankets, coats, and your donations. And so the big blue bus is going to be in front of Neomed between 11 and 2. And Joe Sepisi is going to be talking Friday, March 31st, right here. Hopefully the system is going to work by then, between 12 and 2. So thank you, Dr. Langell, for allowing me to make that announcement.
Thank you, everybody, for coming this morning. Continue to enjoy the cookies and